All right, guys, listen up. Most real estate investors are sleeping on self-storage, and the ones who don't, they're massively overpaying. The real gold is hidden in those off-market deals. But if you don't know where to look or what to ask or how to analyze a deal fast, you're absolutely burning money before you ever get to cash flow. So today's guest, Bree Hartman, she is going to pull back the curtain. She locked up a $3 million storage facility with 0% interest, a 10-year balloon, and day one cash flow with no expensive software, no guru nonsense, just strategy and hustle. And she's going to pull back the curtain. Welcome to the Closers Club, where real investors come to get tactical information that they can insert into their business today and do real deals. So, Bree, thank you so much for being here. Let's jump right into it. Tell us why storage is literally the hidden gem that most investors, they're sleeping on, and what makes it so powerful, especially right now in today's market.
Yes, no, self-storage. I was like, I love self-storage. I had to
I
wear
love that. And you got the sign in the background. Also,
right?
your office looks so cool. I need you to come decorate mine. It's terrible.
No, I've got to go to Tennessee. But I think
Wow.
I was like with self-storage, I think a lot of people, even like your listeners too, like I had like one accidental rental and it really led me to kind of think like bigger, because when you have one rental, right, during like COVID in
It's a headache.
2020, it's like there's the toilets, there's service dogs, there's tenants, and there's black mold, like all these scary terms, right? And all for, that long-term rental, which is like $200 to $400 right now, if
Right.
you can get that, right?
Right.
So
Exactly.
I think jumping into self-storage, I kind of say I found it by accident, but a podcast, literally just like
Yeah.
we're on while I was like painting all the windows, or not windows,
Yeah.
all the doors and all the rooms. They said no toilets, no tenants, no employees equals less problems. And I'm like, and more cash flow, right? And so that was my big thing. That was like, hey, my light bulb moment. I was pregnant and I was like, I'm going to dive in. I'm going to buy my first facility. And just like Gary Keller says, like if you pick one thing to do and you just focus on that,
Right.
that was my big one thing for 2021.
I love that. And, a lot of people are out there, just when they think of investing, they just think houses, single family houses. What is it that made self-storage so really attractive to you? That like that traditional real estate, even beyond the rentals, just wholesaling, renovations, or all of that, how can this, what should people be thinking about? And as far as getting into self-storage?
Hands down. Yeah. So self-storage, I mean, if you think about it, it is, a concrete floor. It's a roll-up door and it's cinder block on each side. And there's like
That's it.
no lights. And so I think just having like a very simple, boring business that you can remotely manage. And so that is my biggest thing. Is my little girl's 3.5 now. But being able, right, to have that time freedom and life options and work from home, and then build a commercial real estate portfolio, right, that you can remotely manage from one place or anywhere, right, in the world, and then have more time with like your family. And so that's my biggest thing, was like, how do I reverse engineer my life that I really want from this commercial real estate asset class, and then start to own 5, 12, 15 different storage facilities like in my lifetime. So that's the goal. That's the goal right now, the storage. And that's why I love it. I think it's, people don't think about that as going out there, reverse engineering it, and then go bigger.
And that's, I think, the thing about commercial real estate, that it a little bit scares people, but that's the advantage, right? Is I don't have to do 150 deals a year. I can do just a handful of these because they're so much bigger, right? Because what are there, 300, literally 300 doors in a storage unit, and I'm making money off every single one of those. But I love the part, no tenants, no trash, no toilets, no nothing. You need a blower, right? Like a blower to blow it out, and you can get somebody else to do that for you.
Hands down. And so that's what I became really good at, was when I got into self-storage, I was like, hey, what is one skill set that will make you different and what make people want to talk to you, right? And so I didn't, come from real estate or anything like that. I was a personal trainer, gym owner that was like, hey, I'm going to go try to learn how to buy a storage facility. And so I just
That's a radical shift. That's two different things.
Yep, 360 shift. And I think it's like when you have a will, there's a way. And so I really got good at cold calling and finding these storage owners that are on Google My Business with no website, and like they have a cash box. And so this is very much, I think that what you talked about was like, why is storage so amazing? And it's because the opportunity right now in this market is that there's 65% are still mom and pop owners that own maybe only 1 to 2. They're unsophisticated. They don't have a website. You can't rent online, even after 2020. It's shocking. It's actually really shocking. And so those are the ones that you actually want to find and then call and just say,
Right.
and so that's what I've been really good at is how do I find these ones that have no website, and I'll
Mhm.
call the owner, build that relationship and just say, hey, is this owner of ABC Storage? And they say yes. And I say, hi, I know, my name is Bree. I know this call might be just out of the blue, but would you ever like consider an offer on your storage facility?
Mhm.
I've been looking for the past 6 months, and my husband and I really want to buy our first site,
Right.
right?
So before we talk about the scary things like, how to finance it and evaluate it, all of that. So let's talk about like just like if you want to start today, like what's the best ways to go out and find them? You mentioned Google My Business, but are there like 3 or 4 or 5 like ways that you really love to go out and find these?
Yeah. So right now, even like in storage school, I just had a student that closed. He's a firefighter, and he would drive
Oh.
about an hour to his fire
Mhm.
station. And so he bought 2 storage facilities, and so he'd pass it every single day. So I said,
Really?
yeah, I said, go. I mean, driving for dollars, it's not new, right? But go stop in, right? Go hear about how did you buy the storage facility, and
Yeah.
hey, would you just show me around because I want to
Yeah.
buy one. And so
Yeah.
he shook his hand and
That's a
got a tour.
great angle. I love that.
Yeah, got the tour, and then the next, like, he said 2 weeks later, he came in and said, "Hey, can I take you to lunch?" And that's how the relationship got started, and that's how he
Mhm.
ended up buying this guy's storage facility because he's like, "You know what? I've owned it for 15 years. I'm ready to sell, and I think you would be a perfect person to take on the business." And so he ended up buying that one, and he bought the one actually across the street too, which
Really?
is wild. Yeah.
I love that. So with Google My Business, like what are you looking for there? Like
Yeah.
how does that work?
Yeah. So, I mean, everyone nowadays, right? You go on your phone or iPhone or whatever phone you have, and you actually go to Google Maps, right? So it's
Mhm.
free for everyone. And so if you go to
I
Google
love
Maps,
free.
I know I love free 99, right? Google Maps, and you actually click nearby, you can
Mhm.
put, normally people put in restaurants or they put in
Mhm.
like shopping malls. But if you put self storage and
Mhm.
you click and you open it up, it will show you all the Google Map packs. So all the five, like,
Oh,
there'll be like 20 different dots on there, and they're all
okay.
storage facilities. And so
Okay.
this is how I teach my students is like, let's open the map and then let's go through and find all the storage facilities with no website. Or if it has a website,
Mhm.
it's GoDaddy.com or Wix. Like, you can't actually rent a unit
Something
on.
I would have set up because I'm so technologically unadvanced.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And so we call them first. And so that's
Mhm.
the most important piece is like, how do we strategize? Let's call those ones first because those are
Mhm.
the ones you want to buy, add your value, fix it up. You can
Right.
flip it, go wholesale
Mhm.
it, or
Mhm.
you can buy it and keep it for a very long time and burr it and
Mhm.
buy another one.
Well, that's what I was thinking when you were talking. There's so many ways to add value, right? That
Oh, yeah.
online sign up and rentals, and there's a machine that'll disperse locks and just all of these different things. And maybe you buy 3 or 4 in an area and kind of bundle them together and rebrand them and keep it or sell it off. So there are definitely some economies of scale, even beyond just the single unit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of what we did in one of our we actually own 3 of them in Louisiana. And so they're about 30 minutes from one another.
Mm. Oh,
And
nice.
so you can actually bundle them up because they're all remote managed, right? And so
Right.
we have one boots on the ground that runs from all 3 of them, but they only work 10 to 15 hours a week, 1099,
Yeah.
right? And so I wanted to show you how easy and seamless this can
I love
be.
that.
And so how this works, right? You go to Google My Business, you say, "Hey, I want to rent a storage unit." You pick one, right? You go to the website, you say, "Hey, I want to buy this 10 by 10." That's $100, right? A month.
Mhm.
You buy it, you put your name in it, it sends you your lease, you upload your
Mhm.
driver's license, you sign the paperwork, and it immediately sends you a text and an email with your gate code. That's only for you. And then it also sends you your automatic lock code. And so
Mhm.
you pull up, put your gate code in, go to your unit, put your code lock in, and then you take the lock off, put your stuff in, put your lock on, drop ours off at the
Yeah.
boxes. And if you don't drop it off, it's $50 and you go along your merry way. And
Yeah.
so no one had to be there at all to help you. And there's QR codes around the whole facility. So if they do need something, the customer service,
Yeah.
someone will pick up, someone real will pick up.
Mhm.
But I wanted to show you guys how seamless this is already. And then
Mhm.
now just think about AI, right? Now AI is coming into all real estate and business in general. And as a business owner, it makes me excited to a certain point, right? Because you still have to have customer service, which is number
Right.
one, but it also can help us reduce our expenses.
Yeah.
So we've been testing out a lot of different AI products and kind of seeing
Mhm.
which one in storage actually still feels good, for our customer service needs. And then number two, can help us reduce some of that call center expenses.
Wow. I love that. It seems like the simplest business. Why is not everybody doing it, Bree?
That's my question. And that's where I'm just, wanted to share. I think just being on a podcast in general is that,
Mhm.
if someone that's 72 years old, and we're buying this facility in the next like 2 months, but he literally has been running his facility on a yellow pad piece of paper. And he literally sent me a message. He's like, oh, well, I'll get my son to take a picture of it. And so he sent us like 20 pictures of, month by month, his unit mix, the prices,
Yeah.
and a check mark. And so if someone can run it like that in a simple way, yes. Can you figure it out and run it seamlessly?
Mhm.
Absolutely. And even better.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
always like to
not
say dumber people than me are making a lot more money. People who do not overcomplicate things.
exactly. And so that's the thing. It's jumping in. It's surrounding yourself, right, with people that, you don't know what you don't know. But putting your action step out there. And that was why this firefighter he got 2 facilities so fast, like under 4 months, is because he was not scared, right? To go out there, just call someone, shake someone's hand, and then say, hey, would you ever consider an offer? Let me present one to you.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so the people that overthink it and they, want to learn without
Right.
doing, that's
Mhm.
my biggest thing is like, I hope I'm that person. That's my goal is I'm going to say, okay, go mess it up, right? Go mess it up, go make all these
Yeah.
calls, come back to me with your problem. And I'm
Right.
going to help solve it 10 times faster.
I love that. So, when we're out there talking to these people, is phone calls the best way to do it, or in person? Is there do people
Yeah.
use any of the other strategies like direct mail, or like clearly you're not running PPC ads to capture storage
No,
units, but does direct mail work? Does texting work? Does any of that stuff
yeah.
have any effect?
All of it. And so
Mhm.
I always say number one is like if you can actually like shake their hand and build that real relationship, that's key one, right? So making that effort, stopping in, bringing them to lunch. Even I've got a couple students that are following up and sending them turkeys because it's Thanksgiving coming up, right? It's
Yeah.
that kind of stuff that makes people remember you. And
Wow.
when they're going to sell, they call, you're the first person of contact. But we also are doing like I have an acquisition team, virtual assistant team. And so we
Really?
do cold calls, we do text messages, we do
Oh, wow.
emails.
Play all
We
your aces.
Oh yeah, you put it all out there, and because everyone, right? Everyone responds in a different manner.
Mhm.
But I do find my favorite two are, is driving for dollars, shaking their hand if you can, and
I
then
didn't
number
think like that.
two, it's cold calling, and it's building that relationship, and it's making sure that and that's key, you guys. It's not just cold calling. It's I'm going to call. I want to ask about their facility. I want to learn something, and then oh, by the way, would you consider selling? And if
Mhm.
so, I would like to put an offer in front of you. So it's
Mm.
nice in a certain perspective because everyone thinks about it. There's two things people are scared of in life. I feel like it's speaking on stage, right? Like
Rejection.
that's so scary, right?
Oh,
Rejection,
yeah.
absolutely. And then number two is going on a blind date, blind date. And number three, someone saying no, right? And
Yes.
so that's why I think a lot of people don't do it.
Mhm.
The two mindset
Yeah.
pieces is that they've got to have $1 million to buy a facility,
Mhm.
and that's not true. And then
Yeah.
number two, they're so scared that they're going to make the wrong move. And so they constantly like, well, when I get 20 doors, then
Right.
I'll get into commercial. And you could have scaled so much faster.
I
So
love that. I
yeah.
know I used to speak on stage the first year or two. I would hyperventilate. Just my chest would constrict. I used to get nervous getting on Zooms. And now when I'm on with somebody and they don't put the camera on, I'm like, what are you, psychotic? Like, why are you not doing this? But I get it. Okay, so we're looking at these deals. Is there any kind of like back of the napkin math where you can just evaluate stuff kind of quick? Is there any,
Oh yeah. Hands down. I was like, and I wanted to, this is something I really love giving to, even like your listeners it's an offer cheat sheet, right? So it's an offer
Hmm.
calculator cheat sheet,
Oh, that's
especially
cool.
for self-storage.
Okay.
So if you guys want to download it, I'm going to put it in the show notes right here. But
Yeah.
if
We'll
you want
pop
to
it up
send
on the
me,
screen.
yeah, a text message, you can get it as well. But how I look at this is in commercial real estate, you've got your gross annual income that the storage facility produces. And so once you take your gross annual income and your expenses of the business that you are, purchasing and running, which is normally in storage is 35%, you get your net operating income, right?
Right.
Mortgage, and you divide it by a cap rate, right? So the cap rate that you are buying in that facility, and that will actually equal the purchase price. This is
Mm.
just a sniff test. I say, cap rates I have a hard feeling here, but cap rates are not everything, but you can really get a sense of what is
I
that
agree with you.
facility. Yeah,
Yeah,
what is the
I think
facility?
cash flow is more important.
It is hands down. And so this calculator though really helps you understand like within like 5 seconds, what is that offer range, And so when I approach sellers, when I cold call them,
Mhm.
they're saying, hey, my facility is making maybe, $10,000 gross a month. I can instantly say, well, I know his market's probably a 9 to a 7 cap. I can
Mhm.
give you this offer range. Maybe it's 850,000 all the way to maybe 950,000. Are we even in the same ballpark? And that's how
Right.
powerful it is because you're
Yes.
not a newbie. You don't know what
Right.
it's worth. And you can talk numbers and just say, hey, let's get them talking. Right.
Mhm.
And then you can pull more information out from them after that.
Right. I love that, and it's so important to have a good coach or mentor who has done this a bunch of times, and then having tools like the offer calculator. Make sure we'll put it in the notes as well, and if you're getting to send an email, we'll include that. But it's so important to have that because it just gives you that confidence, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then somebody that I can reach out to and go, Bree, I got this deal. I don't know what I should do, right? Because
Oh,
that insecurity or that panic that goes through our brains, we like. At least for me, I want to get into the fetal position. But listen, one thing I do want to talk about, we kind of led with it, right? Is tell us about this $3 million deal. I want to
oh,
hear all about it.
no, it's a good. So this was actually a property that cold called, got the owner on the phone, built a good relationship with him. He was like, "Hey, I've owned this facility for 8 years. I own a
Mhm.
couple other businesses." And so it was a fascinating facility because about 45,000 square feet with additional area to put more storage
Mhm.
in South Carolina. And what happened with this was, I kind of were like, should we buy it? Should we buy it? It was a great
Mhm.
property. And when we talked to this owner, I mean, we even led with, hey, what's your motivation? And he's like, yeah, I'm going to go, I'm going to take the money and I'm going to be in semi-retirement. Right. So he wanted to get out of storage. He's like, I just want to run my one business and then retire later on.
Mm.
But he didn't want the capital gains. Right. So he didn't
Right.
want to, completely sell it and get hit by, 20, 30, 40, depending on
Sure.
your tax bracket. So we knew that he didn't own it completely outright, but he only owed about 550,000 left on
Mm.
this facility, right? So we were able to come in and say, he was like, "Hey, I just want $3 million." And
Yeah.
so no matter how we skinned it, we tried 4 different offers.
Yeah.
And he was just like, "I just want 3 million. I want 3 million." It was an ego
People
thing.
get stuck on the price. The
Just
how, that's
totally.
negotiable.
Exactly. So we said, you know what? Okay, we'll give you your $3 million, but we are going to need to have a 0% interest,
Mhm.
a 10-year balloon that has no payment penalties, and we will give you $575,000 down. Right.
Mhm.
So we gave him, paid off his loan and gave him 75,000 just to get, hey, a little money in his pocket.
Right.
But what was so beautiful about, I think this property and how we got that deal done was that the mortgage on this property was only $6,000. And this is a huge facility. And so it cash flowed not only like day one, but it cash flowed about for that whole annual year, about $113,000 from a very conservative lens. Yeah, at a 7.5 cap, So
Impressive.
it was a very big cash flow
Mhm.
property. Did we little bit overpay? Absolutely. Was it worth maybe 2.8? Hands
Mhm.
down. But
Yeah.
I'd rather pay a $3 million,
Sure.
as the end price. And then every single month we sent him $6,600.
Mhm.
And that was mailbox money to him
Yeah.
without having to pay the capital gains of a $3 million.
I
Because
love
that
that. So all the strategies that we're using in single families, they apply here too with owner financing because I love owner financing. All my properties were bought that way. And now you have time, right? So it's going to appreciate in value because you're going to go in there and do all those value add things. So I think that's fantastic.
Yep. Day one, that property was like 20% below market rates. And
Mhm.
you can also, add more. There was about a 10,000 square feet you could add of more
Mhm.
storage and some RV and boat parking in the back. So all in
Oh,
all, perfect property. We ended up actually wholesaling it, and I'll tell you why. It
yeah.
was this 50-50. Should we buy it? Should we not? And so it came down to, hey, I'd rather get the $100,000 now.
Sure. You made
Because
$100,000. That's
Yep.
crazy.
We made $100,000 on that property, and I remember, gosh, it finally went through at the very end of the year, where I got to be skiing on a mountain when it came into my bank account.
Uh,
So I'd be like, that was a really good feeling of being like, hey, this was really worth it. But what I was going to say was for, I think just like that property in general. Gosh, I had a big point that I was coming down with. Man, that
Sorry, I
100,000.
interrupted you.
No, that's totally fine. But I think we wanted to. I'd rather get that $100,000 because the risk on the
Mm. That was the big point she was going to make. It's not us, right? Because we're. Yep, you did freeze up for a second, but you were about to make a big point. I'm so
I
sorry.
know.
Internet
No.
software somewhere.
It'll connect in there. So I think the deciding factor on this was to either wholesale it or to keep it and have this big cash flow cow. And so we ended up wholesaling it because it had a lot of capital expenditure. It needed some work, right? The owner didn't keep it up, did absolutely nothing for 8 to 10 years. So there was going to need a $300,000 to $400,000 in addition to having a market that was a little bit oversupplied. And so for me at that point in time, because we had more deals to be had, I was like, I would rather wholesale it, get the 100,000 and go find a better
sometimes you take it and move on.
Yep, but I watch it very closely. You know how you're just, that one that's true to your heart.
I love that. Bree, where is the best place for people to find you? Because now that they've listened to this and they're like, oh my God, I don't have to be scared of self-storage. I can do this, right? Like it sounds like it's not insurmountable and no different than doing single family stuff. So we've talked about having a coach. We've talked about having that free calculator, which is cool. What's the best way for them to connect with you and kind of explore it more?
Yes, absolutely. So definitely come by my Instagram. So it's bree.theinvestor. Please say hi. I love saying hi to people, especially if you got some good deals. We always are partnering with people. And then also, I own the self-storage school. So this kind of came out of a need. People kept saying, after some of these deals, like, hey, Bree, how are you doing these seller financing deals in storage? And so self-storage school came to be about, and founded it about 2.5 years ago. And so now we actually help people find and buy and operate these self-storage facilities. So if you go to selfstorageschool.com, we've got a couple other resources like a deal finding cheat sheet. We've got a storage quiz. What type of buyer strategy do you want to use on your property? So definitely come by and say hi.
Awesome. Well, guys, listen up. Bree is 100% living proof that you don't need big money to land awesome storage deals. You just need the right strategy and the right help and that amazing calculator. So if you want to see how you can implement this into your business, because not only is it something that you can add to your portfolio, but she just showed us you can make massive assignment fees. So check the link that's going to be in the description here. She's giving it to you absolutely free. Make sure you connect with her, find her on Instagram, bree.theinvestor, and learn about this asset class because it can 100% just explode your wealth. And if this episode helped you, smash the like button and send it to somebody who needs to stop chasing bad deals and move their business in the right direction. Bree, thank you so much for popping on today.